So here you have block number 7. We are starting by working corner to corner in this direction here. And then we will be working trinity stitches here. We're working this cable separately here. And then working the relief trees in this direction here. And finally the chevron stitches here. And then put 2 rounds of the border around the complete block. Join me as we begin working the section for block 7 with the interesting corner to corner technique. Find your hook and yarn and let's begin. Now it's time to try crocheting in a total different style. Instead of working straight up from a chain band, we'll be starting in the corner and work our way up, using a technique called corner to corner. If this is new to you, don't worry. I promise we'll go slowly so that you can follow along. We will be working with color D, and we'll be starting down in the corner and making a slip knot, putting it on our hook, and chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, we will work a half double crochet in the 3rd chain from our hook. So 1, 2, 3, half double, you yarn over and go into that 3rd chain and bring up a loop. And then yarn over and go through all 3 loops on your hook. Then we'll also work half double in each of these next 2 chain stitches. So go into the next one, yarn over and go through all 3 loops. Yarn over and go into the last one, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So what we made now is our first block. So we have a chain 2 that's being called a chain 2 space in the pattern, and then we have 3 half double crochet stitches. So we made our first block. And we are on the right side, and now I will turn my block over to the wrong side, and I'm ready for row 2. And for row 2, we're going to create 2 blocks, and we'll start by chaining 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we'll work a half double crochet again here now in the 3rd chain from our hook, and we'll bring up a loop there and yarn over and go through all 3 loops. Then we'll also work half doubles in each of these next 2 chain stitches. So bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 loops, yarn over and go into the last chain stitch, and then yarn over and go through all 3 loops on your hook. So this is another block here now, and next up in the pattern we are going to work in the chain 2 space. So it's this chain 2 space here that we have on our first block. We're going to join by going into the side here of the chain space and bring up a loop and also bring it through the loop on your hook. So that's a slip stitch that we joined into that chain 2 space with. Then we will chain 2, 1, 2, a chain 2 space, and then we'll work 3 half double crochets here into the same chain 2 space. So we'll work 1, and then 2, and then a 3rd one here, like this. So let's now take a look. It still looks a little bit funky here, but here is the corner, here is one block, here's a second block, and here's your 3rd block. And we are on the wrong side, so now as we ended row 2, I'll turn our work back to the right side, and we are ready to work row 3. For row 3, we're again starting with chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're again working a half double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. to create this first block here now out on this side of our piece. So half double crochet stitch, half double into the next one, yarn over, go through all 3 loops, half double, find that last chain stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So we have a new block. We have this first block here, and you can see it ends here with that chain 2 space. So we'll start here with the repetition in the bracket where you join in that chain 2 space with a slip stitch, and then you work chain 1, chain 2, and then we'll work 3 half double crochet stitches here in the same chain 2 space. And then find the chain 2 space here at the end of your next block. Go into the side of it and work your last repetition where you slip stitch and then chain 2. And then you'll work half double crochet stitches, 3 of them here in the last space. I'm nearing the end here now of row 3. So you can see I'm working my 3rd half double crochet here in the last space. So with that, we've finished row 3, and you can see we now have 3 blocks across. So we will now repeat row 3 for row 4, 5, 6, and 7. And for each row, we will be adding 1 block when we follow and work like we did for row 3. So I'll turn here now to the next side, and I'll start working row 4 exactly like we did for row 3, which means that we will chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we'll work a half double crochet in the 3rd chain, like this. And then we will work also a half double crochet in each of the next 2 chain stitches. So that's in the next one and in the next one. Here we have the chains that we turned with, a little chain space there, and then 3 half double crochet stitches. Then we will work into this next chain space where we will join first with a slip stitch, then work our chain 2 for our first half double crochet, and then work 3 half double crochets into the space. So as you can see, I'm working exactly the same way I did for row 3 here when I'm now repeating working row 4. So you'll just continue exactly the same way across, like I said, for the next rows here now. And I will meet you again when you are nearing to be finished with row 7. I'm now at the end here now of row 7. I've been repeating row 3, and I'm working a half double crochet in the last space. So I've finished with 3 half double crochet stitches here. So as you can see, our piece has been growing and growing out like this, adding more and more blocks for each row that you are working. But at this point, we have reached the final width here, and from here on, working row 8, we're going to start decreasing so that we are shaping this into a square. So to do so here now, as I'm turning around to work row 8, we are now going to start by working a slip stitch in each of these half double crochet stitches until we reach the chain 2 space. So starting in the first one, just work a slip stitch by pulling up a loop through the stitch and also through the loop on your hook. Then into the next one, pull up a loop and also through the loop on your hook, and then into the 3rd half double crochet through the stitch and through the loop. Now I've reached the chain 2 space. I will work a slip stitch and then chain 2, and then work 3 half double crochet stitches here into the chain space. So that's 1, and then 2, and then a third one, all into the same space. And then here you will continue in the next chain space by working a slip stitch and chaining 2, and so on. So continue here now for row 8, working your blocks across, and I'll meet you again when we're nearing the end of this row. I'm nearing the end of row 8, and I've worked 5 blocks so far, and I'm at this point here now. So I will work a slip stitch in this next chain space, and then I will chain 2, and then I will work 3 half double crochets, just like we've been doing. So that's 1, 2, and a third one here in the corner. So that's my 6th block that I'm making here on row 8. And to finalize this row here now, I'm just going to put a slip stitch here in this chain 2 space here. So just go into that last space and pull through the space and also through the loop on your hook. So as you can see now, this is what our block looks like after row 8. And when you are now continuing, you are going to just keep repeating row 8 for the next 4 rows. So to work here on row 9, we're going to work exactly like we did on row 8, where you start by working slip stitches here in each of these half double crochet stitches until you reach the chain 2 space. So here I'm now at the chain 2 space, so I will just put a slip stitch in the space and then chain 2 and work 3 half double crochets into this space and continue across just like we did for row 8. So continue like this for the next couple rows and meet me again when we are ready to work row 13. As you can see here now, I just ended row 12 and I have now 2 blocks here left on my row, and I will now turn around to this side here to work row 13. So for row 13, I'm going to work a slip stitch in each of these half double crochet stitches to get myself over to the chain space. So that's half double crochet stitches, and I have reached the chain space here. So now I'll work a slip stitch in the chain space, and then I will chain 2, and then I will work 3 half double crochet stitches here in this chain space. So I'll work 1, and then 2, and a third one, like this. And after this third one, I'm going to work a slip stitch in this last chain space that I have here at the end of this row. I'm just going to go into the top of that chain space and work a slip stitch like this. So this last block here that I'm ending with at the end of row 13 is just now the final corner of our block. So with that, I can cut the yarn and then pull that tail just through the loop there on my hook. Next, I will turn my block So here is now my finished section, and I will be working a row of half double crochet along this edge here. So this is the corner where I started my section, and this is where I'll be joining the yarn again. So bring in the yarn and then put your hook through that first stitch. Wrap the yarn around your hook and pull it through, and then work a chain 2 for your first half double crochet stitch. We are going to work a total of 15 here along the side, and we have 7 blocks. So if you work 2 in each block and then end with a stitch here out in the corner, that will be the total amount of stitches that you want to work here along the edge. So work 2 half double crochets here now in the first block. So that's 1, and then a second one. And then find your next block here and work 2 half double crochet stitches into the side of this block. 1, and just make sure that you go around at least 2 strands as you work around the edge here. So that was 2 on this block. Then we have this block. I'll put 2 here, and so on. So continue like this, putting 2 half doubles on top of each of the blocks, and then I'll meet you again when we're nearing the corner. 15 and 16, placing the last one out here in the corner. So now I have 16 half double crochet stitches here across the upper edge, and I will take a measurement before I cut the yarn. So my section should measure 5 by 5. So it's 5 in width, and it's also 5 in height. So with that, we can cut the yarn and pull the tail through the loop on our hook and tighten. We have finished this section and we're ready to move on to the next one. Next up, we'll be working Trinity stitches, a